The keypad beeped red 3 times before locking completely. At first, I thought the battery had died again, but when I looked through the garage window, I saw my grandson carrying boxes toward the back wall where my workbench used to be. That was the moment I realized somebody had changed the code without telling me. I stood there in my driveway in Tulsa, Oklahoma, holding a bag of birdseed like an idiot, while my own grandson avoided looking at me through the window glass. Tyler was 26, tall like his daddy, same broad shoulders, same habit of acting busy whenever something uncomfortable came up. I knocked on the garage window. He froze for half a second before opening the side door just enough to squeeze through. "Oh, hey, Grandpa. Why won't the code work?" His eyes shifted toward the driveway, toward the house, anywhere but me. "We changed it last week." "We?" "Mom wanted it changed." That hit me harder than I expected. My daughter Karen lived 10 minutes away, but ever since my hip surgery 6 months earlier, she'd been coming over constantly, bringing groceries, rearranging cabinets, talking slower to me than she used to, like I was already halfway gone. "Nobody told me," I said. Tyler rubbed the back of his neck. "It's just temporary." I looked past him into the garage. My workbench was gone, not moved, gone. In its place were stacked plastic bins and folding chairs I recognized from Karen's house, Christmas decorations, old clothes, junk. What happened to my bench? Oh, Mom had the guys haul it out. I felt my stomach tighten. The guys? The junk removal guys. I stared at him. That bench was handmade. I know. My father built that bench in 1968. Tyler swallowed hard. We didn't know it mattered that much. Didn't know. 40 years in that house. Every fishing reel repaired there. Every birthday bike assembled there. I taught Tyler himself how to use a hammer at that bench when he was 8 years old. And now it was landfill somewhere. Just like that. I stepped toward the garage door, but Tyler blocked me without meaning to. "Grandpa, Mom said not to let you go in there right now." That sentence chilled me clean through. "Why?" "She's organizing stuff." "My stuff?" He finally looked ashamed. "She said the garage was becoming a hazard." A hazard. That garage held 30 years of tools, military boxes, old photographs, and cabinets I built with my own hands after Martha died. My wife's things were in there. Her sewing machine, too. I suddenly noticed something else. The old green tackle box near the back wall was missing. My chest tightened. "Where's the fishing locker?" Tyler blinked. "What fishing locker?" "The steel one under the shelves." His silence answered me before his mouth did. "Oh, they hauled some cabinets away yesterday." I couldn't breathe right for a second. Inside that locker were letters. Every letter Martha ever wrote me while I was stationed overseas in Vietnam. I took a step backward. "You threw away my wife's letters." Tyler's face went pale. "I didn't know, Grandpa. I swear." Behind us, Karen's SUV pulled into the driveway, and the second she stepped out and saw me standing there, her entire expression changed. Karen slammed the SUV door harder than she meant to. I could tell right away she'd been listening for trouble before she even got out of the car. "Dad," she said, forcing a smile, "you're supposed to call before coming out here." Before coming out here. To my own garage. I looked at Tyler. How long's she been talking like that? "Grandpa." Karen shot him a warning look. Then she turned back to me like I was being difficult at a doctor's office. "We've already talked about this. You almost fell in here in January." "I tripped over a damn extension cord. You fractured your wrist. And healed." She crossed her arms. "You can't keep living like nothing's changed." I pointed toward the garage. "You threw away Martha's letters." Her face tightened for just a second. "Nobody knew they were in there. You didn't ask." We were cleaning. My workbench? It was rotting. It was oak. Tyler looked miserable standing between us. Poor kid, looked like he wanted the driveway to swallow him whole. Karen lowered her voice like that made things kinder. Dad, this is exactly why we needed to step in. That word again. Needed. Like I was some problem they inherited. I looked past her toward the house. My curtains were different. White ones. Martha picked those blue curtains herself 12 years ago. When were you inside? Karen hesitated. I've been helping organize. You changed my curtains. They smelled musty. I laughed once, dry and ugly. Anything else smell musty? Dad, stop. No, you stop. I pointed toward the garage. You changed locks on my property. It's for safety. Whose safety? She didn't answer right away. That's when I knew something bigger was sitting underneath all this. Tyler finally spoke up. Quiet. Mom. Not now. No, Mom. You should tell him. Karen's eyes flashed toward him so fast it almost startled me. Tell me what? Nobody spoke. A cold feeling crawled up my back. Then Tyler said it before she could stop him. She met with a realtor. Everything went silent. Even the birds. Karen looked furious. Tyler. What? He snapped suddenly. He deserves to know. I stared at my daughter. A realtor? Nobody's selling your house. Then why meet one? She rubbed her forehead. Dad, you said yourself this place is too much. I never said that. You said the stairs hurt your hip. They do. You forget things. I forget where I put my damn glasses sometimes. I don't forget my life. Karen's face hardened then. Real hard. The doctor said early memory problems can. My doctor said no such thing. She looked away. That scared me worse than anything. What did you tell people? Dad? What did you tell them? Tyler looked sick now. Karen finally answered. I may have told the realtor we were preparing for transition planning. I felt heat rush through my chest. Transition planning, like I was already halfway buried. I took out my keys and walked toward the front door. Karen stepped in front of me. You can't go inside right now. That stopped me cold. Move. The cleaners are there. In my house? You've been needing help. I stared at my own daughter, standing between me and my front door. Then I noticed something hanging from her purse strap. My house keys, not copies, mine. And suddenly, I understood something awful. This hadn't started last week. It had been happening slowly, behind my back, for months. Then Tyler said quietly, almost shaking, Grandpa, there's something else missing from the garage. Tyler wouldn't look at me. That scared me more than Karen blocking the front door. What's missing? I asked. He kept staring at the driveway. Karen snapped first. Tyler, enough, but he shook his head. No, Mom, this is getting bad. I felt my pulse thumping in my neck. What's missing? He swallowed hard. The cedar chest. For a second, I honestly thought I misheard him. What? The old cedar chest beside the freezer. I grabbed the porch railing. That chest mattered more than the garage, more than the workbench. Martha's things were inside. Her wedding dress, old photo albums, the hospital bracelet from when Karen was born, every birthday card Martha ever saved from the kids. I looked straight at my daughter. Where is it? Karen's voice got defensive fast. Dad, calm down. Where is it? We moved it into storage. What storage? It's safe. With who? Dad, with who? Tyler finally answered. Storage King off Route 51. I stared at him. Karen looked like she wanted to kill him right there in the driveway. You had no right, I said quietly. We were protecting things. From who? She exploded then. From you, Dad. The whole neighborhood probably heard that. You leave burners on. You forget appointments. Last month you called me at midnight because you thought somebody was in the backyard. There was somebody in the backyard. It was a raccoon. And I'm 80 years old. Everything sounds like a burglar at midnight. You're not handling things anymore." I looked at her for a long moment. Then I asked the question I think I already knew the answer to. "Are you trying to put me somewhere?" Silence. Tyler closed his eyes. Karen didn't answer fast enough. That was answer enough. My chest felt hollow all of a sudden. Martha used to warn me about this years ago after her own father got sick. "Families don't always mean to take control," she'd said. "Sometimes they convince themselves it's kindness." Back then I thought she was cynical. Standing in my own driveway, locked out of my own garage, hearing strangers had hauled off my life piece by piece, I realized she'd been right. Karen softened her voice suddenly. "Dad, assisted living isn't prison." I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, because hearing your own child say something like that does something strange to your brain. "You already picked one." "Nobody said that." "You toured places." Karen looked away again. Tyler whispered, "Mom." She rubbed her temples hard. "We were only gathering information." "How long?" No answer. "How long?" "Since February." "February." 8 months. 8 months of meetings and plans and storage units and lock changes while she smiled at me over Sunday dinners. I suddenly thought about the bank, about Karen insisting recently that online banking was too confusing for me now, about her asking questions about the deed, about papers she kept trying to get me to sign after my surgery while I was doped up on pain medication. A terrible feeling settled into my stomach. "What else have you done?" Karen's face changed instantly. Fear. Real fear. That's when I knew there was something she prayed I hadn't noticed yet. Then a silver sedan pulled slowly into the driveway behind her SUV. A man stepped out holding a leather folder. Mid-50s, suit jacket, realtor smile. He froze when he saw me standing there. Karen went pale, and the man said the one thing he absolutely should not have said. "Oh, Mr. Whitaker's still here." The realtor looked at Karen. Karen looked at the ground, and I stood there feeling like the last fool in Tulsa. "What do you mean still here?" I asked. The man's face drained white. I'm sorry, I thought..." "Thought what?" Karen stepped forward fast. "Dad, this isn't what it looks like." That sentence right there. That sentence has never once in human history been followed by anything good. I looked at the realtor. "You better start talking." The man cleared his throat. "Sir, I'm David Mercer with Mercer Realty. Your daughter contacted me regarding a possible future listing." "Future," Karen said quickly. "I said future." David looked trapped already. Unfortunately for Karen, scared people tell the truth fast. She mentioned an accelerated timeline due to health concerns. I turned slowly toward my daughter. "Health concerns." Karen started talking too fast now. "Dad, please don't do this out here." "No, we're doing it right here." Tyler stepped back toward the garage like he wanted no part of it anymore. I looked at David again. "What exactly did my daughter tell you?" He hesitated. Then Karen snapped, "You don't have to answer that." But he already knew he'd walked into a disaster. She said the family was preparing for transition into assisted living care. My vision blurred for a second. Not from age, from rage. "She told you I was moving out?" "She said the house would likely need quick sale preparation." Quick sale. Like my whole life was some property flip. I looked at Karen. "How long have you been planning this?" Tears sprang into her eyes instantly. Real tears too. But I was too far gone to care anymore. "We were trying to help you. You met a realtor behind my back. You wouldn't listen. You stole my keys. You were declining." That word echoed in my head. Declining. Like milk left on a counter. I pointed at the house. "My wife died in there." Karen cried harder. "Dad, every inch of that place has my life in it." You can't stay alone forever. Who says? The doctors. Which doctors? Silence. David Mercer quietly started backing toward his car. Smart man. Then Tyler spoke from behind us. Tell him about the papers. Karen spun around. Tyler, stop. But the kid looked sick with guilt now. You told me it was emergency planning, he said. You said Grandpa already agreed. My stomach dropped. What papers? Karen's breathing changed, small, fast, and suddenly I knew. The papers after surgery, the ones she slid beside my recliner while I was barely awake. Karen, I said quietly, what did you have me sign? Her mouth opened, closed. Then finally, temporary financial authorization. I felt cold all over. What did that give you access to? Dad, I was paying bills for you. What access? Tears rolled down her face now. The checking account. How much? It wasn't stealing. How much? Tyler whispered. Mom, Karen broke. 32,000. I honestly thought my legs might give out. $32,000. Martha and I saved that over years. Emergency money, roof money, medical money, gone. I was going to put it back, she cried. Todd lost money on the business and we were drowning, and I thought once the house sold, the house sold. There it was, the truth finally standing naked in the driveway. Not concern, not safety, money. My daughter had already spent the money before I was even out of the house. I looked at Tyler. The poor boy was crying now too. You knew? No, Grandpa. Not until last week. I swear to God. Karen reached for my arm. Dad, please, we can fix this. I stepped back so fast she flinched. That seemed to hurt her more than yelling would have. You used me. No. You were waiting for me to get weak enough. That's not true. You cleaned out my garage before I was even gone. Neighbors were peeking through windows now. Didn't matter. Nothing mattered anymore except the horrible pressure crushing my chest. Then Karen said the one thing I still hear at night sometimes. You weren't supposed to find out this soon. After Karen said that, nobody moved. The whole driveway went dead quiet, except for a dog barking somewhere down the block. You weren't supposed to find out this soon. I just stared at her, my own daughter, the little girl whose bike I taught to ride in that same driveway, the kid who used to crawl into bed between me and Martha after thunderstorms, standing there, admitting she'd been waiting for something to happen to me. Tyler looked horrified. Mom, Karen covered her mouth immediately like she wanted to shove the words back inside herself. But it was too late. David Mercer got in his car without another word, backed out fast, didn't even close his passenger door all the way before leaving. Smartest decision anybody made that day. I looked at Karen one last time. How bad are the debts? She started crying harder. That answered plenty already. The house was going under, she whispered. Todd said if we could just get through another year. So you picked mine instead? No? Yes. I pulled my keys from her purse strap myself. She didn't stop me, didn't even look at me. Tyler wiped his face and walked over slowly. Grandpa, I'm sorry. I nodded once. I believed him. That boy looked destroyed. But Karen just stood there shaking while 20 years of excuses fell apart around her. I unlocked my front door and stepped inside. The smell hit me first. Lemon cleaner. Not my house anymore. Cabinets rearranged. Pictures missing from the hallway. Martha's chair gone from the living room. Gone. I stood there, looking at the empty spot beside the lamp, where she used to sit knitting every night while Wheel of Fortune played too loud. Karen followed me inside carefully. Dad, please let me explain. I didn't answer. I walked straight down the hallway into my bedroom. The filing cabinet drawer was open half an inch. I already knew before I touched it. The bank folder was gone. So was the deed copy. I sat down slowly on the edge of the bed, because suddenly I felt every one of my 78 years. Karen stood in the doorway crying. I was going to fix it. I nodded faintly. That's what people always say after. She slid down the wall onto the floor then, just sobbing like a little girl again. For 1 second, one awful second, I almost comforted her. That's what fathers do, even after they're broken. But then I looked at Martha's side of the bed, and I remembered the letters, the garage, the locks, the realtor, my house being sold before I was even told. Something inside me closed quietly. I picked up the phone on the nightstand. Karen looked up fast. "Who are you calling?" I stared straight ahead. My lawyer. The sound she made after that didn't even sound human anymore. Tyler came inside running when he heard her crying. I never looked back at either of them. I just sat there, holding the phone with both hands, because suddenly they wouldn't stop shaking. And while Karen begged behind me, all I could think about was how empty the garage felt without Martha's letters in it. If this story hit you hard, let me know in the comments what you would have done in his place. And if you believe family, trust, and dignity still matter, subscribe for more real emotional stories like this one.